Hello again! Yes, it is I, S2E for me. What? Two videos on the same day? Does this mean S2 guy's work ethic? No. Does it mean that S2 is actually going to get active? Oh, that looks cool. I'm going out there. Does that mean S2 is actually going to be responsible for once? No. It's just because as I was doing my previous video, I remembered that I also had another topic to talk about, and I realized it connects really well. I have time to record. I know what I'm talking about, so just do it now. Yeah, relax. I'm not responsible yet, okay? I'm still. Alright, uh, anyways, hi! Welcome to my channel! I'm S2E for me. Oh boy. I just lost. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Whatever. Oh boy. You know, this is one of those videos where I kind of think, hey, maybe I should do like one of those clickbaity, videos you see from like other Christian YouTubers like Reformed Wiki or Colin Miller or whatever. It's just like, a bunch of faces and it's like, oh, these guys are heretical or whatever. Like, no. I would do that, but I feel like that's a bit of a low blow and a little bit of a low jab at these people. I actually don't really have a problem with those. Yeah, well, I sort of have a problem with them because I disagree with their theology, but um, I disagree with them theologically, but whatever. No, I'm not gonna do that because I don't believe in clickbait. Clickbait's stupid. Again, no disrespect to those guys, but I don't like how they do it. It's just a thing. Of course, like I'm saying this as though they're ever gonna see this. Like, really, I don't think they'll ever see this. Wow, I just wasted 2 minutes ranting about that. Anyways, today we're talking about teachers in the church. Actually, just in general, big personalities in the church, right? Any organization, anything really has its famous people, right? Um, for sports, you have the superstars, right? LeBron James, Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, Lionel Messi, um, Mike Pence. Sorry, wrong thing. You have politicians who are famous. Like that crazy lady, uh, Green. Her name's Green. I forget it. The crazy one, the one who like the conspiracy theory one. Uh, um, if you know what I'm talking, if you know who I'm talking about, just leave it in the comments. She's the one who supports QAnon and stuff. Like, oh yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, she's famous. We're talking about people like Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Yeah, there's famous people there. There's famous people in academia. So in like the theological world, you have James Dunn, uh, Gundry, Grudem. Just tossing out names because I'm actually knowledgeable on this now. I feel cool. But yeah, and whenever there are big names in an area, people tend to gravitate to them, right? They say, "Oh, I really like the teachings of this person," or "I really agree with this person. I really like this person." And when it comes to the church, there are certainly people like that. And unfortunately, it becomes rather problematic in some cases. Not all cases, but in some cases. Now, what am I talking about? Well, for example, have the case of there's like big names like Billy Graham. Very cool dude. Solid preacher, solid teacher, does good stuff. You have people like Stephen Furtick. Okay, maybe this may have been an issue there. And then you have people like Rabbi Zacharias, where it's like, whoa, what happened? And all of a sudden we're in this situation where it's like, we've got a big problem. And so today I want to talk about about this sort of thing in the church where we have these big preachers, these big names, these big influencers in the church, and how we as Christians should approach this properly. As to guide that, I want to take from 1 Corinthians chapter 3. I'm going to stop moving and I'm going to be reading. So if you're watching this, you're wondering why this stuff froze. It's not frozen. It's just, right. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1 to 9. But I, brothers, could not address you as spiritual people, but as people of the flesh, as infants in Christ. I fed you with milk, not solid food, for you were not ready for it. And even now you are not yet ready, for you are still of the flesh. For while there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not of the flesh and behaving only in a human way? For when one says, I follow Paul, and the other, I follow Apollos, are you not being merely human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants, through whom you believed, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he nor who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building. I think it's fairly obvious to tell why this passage is of relevance in this discussion, because we're talking about, back in that day, Paul and Apollos. I actually don't know much about Apollos, but obviously Paul, Saint Paul, this guy was like famous. He was pretty, uh, pretty cool. Around the church, everyone knew him. It's like, yeah, I know Paul. Really, you might know? Wow, you know Paul, dude. That's wow, that's major, right? It's like, wow, Paul, he's coming. He's a celebrity status, right? Paul was a celebrity, so we're all the apostles because they're the OGs, like they're the guys, right? And so what we see in this case is that there's these that the Corinthians were saying, I actually follow these guys. I follow Paul, right? I follow Apollos, right? And if you think about it, there's a little bit of a problem with that, as Paul points out. Where's God in that, right? You follow Paul, okay, great. You follow Apollos, okay, cool. Do you follow God? Do you base your belief upon God? Is God the one who is at the center of it all, or is it Paul and Apollos? Oh, whoa, 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 oh, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know what? Okay, sorry. This is why I shouldn't record like this. Anyways, right. So it's a question of, are you really? Is your faith really that shallow that you say I believe based on this guy, or I follow this person or that person? Like, is your faith like that, where it's like, I follow Billy Graham, or I follow Stephen Furtick, or I follow Joel Houston. I think it's Joel Houston. I can't remember which Houston it is. The guy in charge of Hillsong, that guy. Or like, I follow Bill Johnson, right? It's like, is your faith really that shallow that you say, oh yeah, that's my guy, that's the guy who I follow? Or is your faith such that you say, no, I follow God, and God's my guy. God is the one who I follow, he's the one who I obey and who I listen to. The only acceptable answer is God is the one that I follow, right? So if you say, well, I do both. What? What? Hold on a second. No, you can't do both. You can't do both. Right? Because these people are people. They're servants. They're not God. They are not super up there. They're just people who God entrusted with a certain ministry, and this ministry is, well, flourishing. And see, that's the first problem with following big teachers in the church, is that, we get the wrong impression of what it means to be a Christian. Being a Christian is not about following a certain teacher. It's not about following certain theology, right? It's a matter of, are you a Christian? Are you saved? Do you follow Christ? Do you follow God? If you don't, well, that's a bit of a problem. Okay. Oh boy. I should have brought it back. Okay, you know what? Yeah, like, are you really following Christ? And if your answer is no, well, I sort of do, but I mostly follow this person. That's a problem, right? Now, I'm not saying that following teachers is a bad thing, right? We all learn from people, right? Paul mentored the church in Corinth, Thessalonica, Philippi, so on, Ephesus, right? But the question is, if we do that to a healthy extent, do we do that to the extent that we still remain faithful to God, or are we drawing away and instead focusing more on the servants, right? Are we worshiping the creator or are we worshiping the created? And yeah. Now the other thing is that there also tends to be this desire within the church to say, "Oh, I support." Let's say I support Billy Graham, right? I like the guy. He's cool. He did a lot of great stuff. Um, there seems to be this desire within the church to be like, "Oh, you support him? Well, defend this statement of his." And like, what? What even is that? I've never even heard that. Oh, you support him, therefore you must support this. No, I support his evangelistic efforts. I don't really know much about whatever it is you're talking about, right? It's just yeah. There seems to be this you gotta go all in with these people attitude within the church, and that's a bit of a problem because no, like, do we really have to do that? Um, I don't think so, right? Because in that case, there really isn't going to be anyone you can fully throw your support behind because chances are they're going to come up with something that you might disagree with, and at that point it's just like, well, I can't accept this guy anymore. This guy's evil or whatever, right? It's like Christian canceling basically, but it's more stupid than you think. So yeah, that's one of the problems. And so that's why we need to be careful of trying to throw our full support behind someone or something, or if we should instead focus more on following God and not the person, right? We should be focusing on God, not others. We should be focusing on His Word and nothing else. Now, one of the problems that comes with following teachers is what happens when they fall. What happens when they fall? And this is where it kind of gets a little heavier and a little harder, but this is an important topic you have to discuss. Ravi Zacharias, the guy was one of the greatest apologists of all of their time. He helped bring thousands to Christ. He um, did amazing work, and but as it turns out, he wasn't a great person. He had a lot of failings. He he did a lot of bad stuff, to say the least. What do you do then when your teacher, when the person that you claim to follow fails, right? What happens then? You know, I was when I was reading about Ravi Zacharias and some of the things that he did to ensure that his actions didn't ever come to light was, he went up to these people who he abused, and he said, if you leak this, if people know this about me, then you will put their salvation in jeopardy. And when I heard that, when I read that, I was heartbroken because, um, first of all, it is a horrible intimidation tactic to use, and second of all, he's not wrong. Because there are some people who are so built up upon him, upon his teaching, that if they find out that he's, failed in some way or he's done something wrong, well, that calls into question a lot of what they believe and a lot of what they do. And, that's, yeah. And so the thing is that when we say, oh, so when we, really look at certain teachers or certain people in the church, we say, oh, I really support this guy, I really like this guy. We really have to be very careful to not only do that, to just say, oh, I really like this guy, I really support this guy, and throw ourselves behind them. Because they are people, and inevitably there will be something that makes them fall. They will slip up and do something that's wrong. They could, do something wrong against you. And at that point, where will you be left if this person ends up doing this thing, and this person ends up essentially betraying you? Yeah, I know it's not exactly an easy one, but yeah, we need to talk about it because yeah, and Paul gives an answer to that. We are to follow God, right? Because Paul is but a servant. Apollos is but a servant. Billy Graham, Stephen Furtick, John MacArthur, Voldy Bachman, they're all just servants of God. And so when we say we throw our support behind these people, we need to be really careful. In fact, I would say we shouldn't even throw our support behind them. We should just say, oh yeah, I agree with them. We need to be really careful that we don't end up shipwrecking our faith or making a mess of it because, these people end up falling from grace later on, or they end up turning out to be really bad people, or end up falling to the wrong side. We need to make sure that our faith is built upon God, that we follow God, not anything else, not anyone else, just God. And yeah, also, I will also say, you cannot, don't measure your church pastor against these famous people, okay? It's not fair, all right? Because these people, they speak very well. That's what they're called to do. They're called to speak. Your pastor, he might also be called to speak, but he's also called to care. He's also called to care for you, to pastor a church, right? So don't measure your pastors up against these big names, these big wigs, all right? It's not fair, and it's not really something you should be doing anyways. It's like, it's just don't do it, okay? Like, yeah, sure, be like, oh man, I wish my pastor was like this person or like that person. No, please don't do that. Please, on behalf of pastors, just please don't do that. All right, it's not a healthy or spiritual way of going about this. Seriously, this is just a heartfelt appeal because I know that's a big problem that pastors face, and it sucks hearing them go through that because it is not fair. That's not fair. So yeah, that being said, to conclude, make sure that your faith is built upon God, not upon others. Make sure that you can understand that you don't have to throw your full support behind these people, but you can agree with them, right? I don't necessarily throw my whole support behind Voldy Bachman. I'm an Armenian. He's a Calvinist. I disagree with him on most issues. He's also Reformed. I am not. But I agree with him on some stuff, but it doesn't mean I support him, right? And the other thing is, please don't measure your pastors up against these big guys, because remember, some people are not called to speak, but they are called to care. And even though some might be called to speak as well, and they just might be speaking in a way that you don't like just because of your own selfish desires. Again, selfish, really selfish. Maybe you should reconsider how you approach church. So that being said, thank you. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments. If you have any problems with what I said, please post them in the comments. Please be respectful. I'm a Christian. You're a Christian, I assume. If you're not a Christian, I don't really think you have any real ground to question me on this. Like, if you have a problem with what I said, I appreciate if you have a question. Questions are fine, but like, if you're not a Christian, you don't really have the background to comment on I take issue with my stuff. But sure, whatever. I don't really care. It's up to you. But yeah, please. I'm a Christian. You're a Christian. Maybe you should be a little more loving. your critique, right? Because I can be wrong, just as you can be wrong. And we need to both assume that and remember that before we go into this. So, with that being said, may the Lord bless you, and bye.